minute, let's go ahead and get started. So I will call to order this meeting of the Guthrie Public Library Advisory Board at 5:29. I'm Jamie Newton, president of the board. Can I have each of you state your name?
I'm Tricia Weishart, president of Friends of the Guthrie Library.
Amy Olsey Riggs. Board member.
Samantha Stewart, board member.
All right, and Cameron Smith, director of the library.
Okay, with 3 board members present, we have a quorum established. Our first item on the business portion of the agenda is to discuss the minutes from our last meeting, Thursday, October 19th. Did you all get those minutes and have a chance to review them?
Yes.
Okay. I only had one correction. While I'm thrilled at the promotion I got, I am not the president of the Guthrie Public Library. So that was the only correction that I saw that needed to be made. So our secretary is absent, out sick today, so I will send her a note that that was the only correction unless anyone else had anything. You know that? Okay. So I would like to just add the word board after library. So if there's no other discussion or changes on the minutes, can I have a motion to approve as amended?
Motion.
Okay, motion by Sammy, second by Samantha. Okay, and all those in favor? Aye. It's kind of hard when you went 3.
Right.
You know,
I know, it's very just like that's the lines too.
motion approved, motion passes, okay. Okay, so then we will move on to our director's report.
Okay, coming off of close, so maybe not always seem a little bit shaky. Well, it's going through here.
You got everybody else.
Yes, yes, yeah, but everybody has sort of been cool. But, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the data from the ALA Transforming Library Grant and second for first portion. Just to catch everyone up to speed, this was a grant from 2022 or maybe 2021. Some surveys for
I think it started 2019.
2019, thank you.
Yeah, that's when I first know, I think that, or that's when the proposal was written, I guess. November 2019.
Yes.
So I've actually had the survey results sitting on my desk since I came aboard.
Okay.
And in December, I sat down, not all at once, because I don't have that much time today, but for most of that month, I sat down and recorded, coded, and tabulated the results. I have a couple of things that I want to share with the board that came from the library survey. The good news, I'll start off, it's on the question of whether you would favor the library expanding. That was a resounding 95% of the respondents indicated that they would. Interestingly enough, because I would break this down by people who had library cards and people who did not have library cards, the people without library cards were more in favor of expanding with library cards. Also, the no's were a very small portion, a small sample, so that may be, and they were, hey, how are you doing? Thank you for showing up.
Well, that's it.
It already applies.
So the people that were not, did not have library cards, were they like Guthrie City or Logan County residents, you know, did she get that?
The information was not readily available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the questions.
I know.
One of the questions was, because there was only 5 or 6, was, do you have a library? I do not remember there being, some of the people volunteered where they live, whether it was Edmond, Boyle, or other places.
And it didn't specify a Guthrie library card, it just said a library.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that's what. Can you take a brief moment?
Absolutely.
welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself and then we'll do our introductions again?
Okay, my name's Ashton Stubblefield, I'm a student at Oklahoma State. I'm wanting to be a teacher. I'm new to secondary education as of now. I love the library, I live here in Logan County. I was a library kid and I'm really glad I'm getting to fulfill my dream of helping out the library. I look forward to working with you guys.
Fantastic. I'm Jamie Newton. I'm the board president. I've been on the board for, 4 or 5 years now. And I'm glad to have you. I think that sounds wonderful, everything you just said, that you were a library kid. So you've got a really unique perspective that we probably don't, being here to enjoy the programming and everything and having that one-on-one, that personal experience with those programs here. So we're glad to have you. And we'll just go around and introduce ourselves.
I'm Cindy Holsey, board member. This is my second meeting, so really new.
Yeah, I'm Trisha Weiser, and I'm president of Friends of the Guthrie Library, so I'm not really on the board, I just barged in today.
It's a public meeting,
I know.
everyone's welcome, so she's part of the public. All right.
I'm Samantha Stewart. I work for the Guthrie Public Schools. This is my second meeting on the board. So if you want to be a teacher, that's awesome. Please come see us.
Awesome. My name is Cameron Smith, I'm the director of the library, I worked in the library for 9 years, I've been here almost a year. Before working in the libraries, I worked at education, I also have a degree in secondary education. Along with a couple of degrees and some other degrees too.
Yeah.
Library.
Was happy to get one. What? I'd be happy to get one. Thank you all, and thank you for introducing yourself and for coming this evening. Please continue.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, on the positive note, there was a strong indication that they would be in favor of expanding the public library. The question is obviously vague because what the expansion means belongs to the person in charge. That could mean expanding this library, making it bigger, adding more locations in Guthrie, or could mean expanding into other towns in Logan County. And one person thought it meant expanding into Oklahoma City. Interpretation.
That's not necessary.
No.
Yeah. Interesting.
I went ahead and included the graphs on 2 of the other questions that were on here, because I thought that was most important, to all of here. One is there anything that the library, anything about the library you would like to see that is not offered and add it to me? There are so many typos, mainly because I can't get on. Instead, there were over 100 responses. I did everything. So what I did when I was coding these results, because these were all open-ended questions, like the question you see on here was a question, and they just answered how they wrote in their answer. So what I did is I wrote everything down and I tried to coalesce the answers into a couple of categories. Fortunately, the most common response to this question was along the lines of nothing comes to mind. Some examples of those questions was not that I can think of. No, everything is wonderful. I don't think so. I've been pretty happy with everything. The fact that that was 33.5% of the respondents indicated something along those lines. And one note of the question on both of these graphs, if you add these up, and these are not the total answers, you're going to get more than 100% because most people give answers that would count for one category or the other. And I tried to get them. Some things that were pointed out that were lacking that they would like to see is the physical collection that includes all the books, movies, stuff like that. I'm gonna read some of the passionate. Now, these were pretty much random examples that I pulled from here, but Some answers for physical collection or more books. Get a whole series, don't start with the middle. Books. So I should notice that this is a dramatic read. I was appalled walking back in, half of what used to be books is now just open area. Big bold letters, buy books, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. There was also, some technical responses for expanding the children's collection, that included the children's department. Also adult programming, but they actually had some ideas for adult programming, like cooking classes, adult learning stuff, and basic tech literacy classes for folks that are technology challenged. Hours was pretty high on there, which I found peculiar, mainly because a lot of the complaints about the hours have already been addressed, or they were unaware of what operating hours are.
Yes, we'll say you really got a pretty good hour.
One said they wanted more open hours, one wanted us to be open on Saturday. Not talking to the telemarketer, which we are open on Saturdays. You know, we're open on Saturday. And then yes, extended hours and open on weekends. They also asked, what does the accounting system mean to you? That's pretty much the entire question, also very, very open to interpretation. Again, a very positive takeaway that we can take to this was that there was a lot of just general positivity in the answers, with answers such as, it's important to me. Libraries are a big part of my life. I like it, I go find stuff, nice movie here. And that was, as you can see from the graph, far and away the most popular answer that people gave this. Again, mirroring the other question, there was people hold that the physical collection is very important to them. They love having access to titles, being able to actually borrow books instead of buying them. By access, if you look at the next one that says better access, that means that library services, books, programs, everything that the library does is accessible to them. A lot of people use this to express that they would like more access, not just at this physical building right here, more access outside of Guthrie. To me, a Logan County library means that all the libraries in Logan County, the both of them, are connected. And I think it would be great to offer library resources to the surrounding communities. Not everyone has access to the library, which case in point, everyone in Logan County doesn't have access to the library, which is something we may need to work out, if we get questions like this. People expressed how beneficial this was to their children. Just the anecdotal evidence working here, and we were here an hour ago and saw all the people at the Lego Club. There are tons of people that come here, let their kids run wild, let their kids enjoy being in the library and being a great library kid that we all want them to be, while the parents sit in the chairs and check their email on the phone. Which I also check email on my phone, no judgment on that. And interestingly enough, another extremely popular answer had to do with the location of the library. I had answers to this question such as, it means I wouldn't have to drive all the way to Edmond for reading material. Libraries are a place to go for your imagination, so it's good to have one. We need to either expand buildings or add more locations. I would visit the library more if it was closer to me. It would be more convenient to access the library. I don't qualify for an Edmond card, and Guthrie is too far away.
That's probably something in South Logan County.
It is, yes, yeah. That's like, I
I
don't,
know there's
Which,
part of
I
the
think that,
discussion,
yeah, that was a large part of the discussion.
There's so many.
there's,
Yeah.
Well, South Logan County is the fastest growing housing area in the state, I think is what I heard not too long ago.
This is right there.
that's huge. 2019 would be about the time that the Metro Library was cracking down on library cards that were issued to residents outside of the county. So some people may have felt steam of that. answering these questions.
Yeah, and some people, you know, I think we've also visited about people with the Edmund address, but not Edmund utilities. You have to have Edmund utilities to have an Edmund card. But they don't live in Guthrie city limits, so they can't have a card here, and, you know, so they're kind of in a no man's land,
So I
so,
worked across the street from the village library, but lived out here, so.
yeah. Yeah.
How possible would that be? It's like location.
That's what we're discussing. I was gonna ask you if, when you were, how long ago were you a library kid, like you said?
All the way through high school. But I-
Last week.
Okay. Okay, well, we had, the library, the two council of the library and volunteers asking questions, these questions to people that came in, like for the chamber coffee, the morning that we had that, and they asked it of other patrons that came in, through a period of time. And the purpose of the question was, we have been exploring the possibility of a Logan County library system. And what that looks like is, instead of a city-run library that, depends on the city allowable budget from sales tax, it would be a county run, it would be under the county commissioners of Logan County. And it would be, the money would come from a tax millage on, property taxes. So the money would actually come out of property taxes. And based on the calculations that we did in the beginning, that would look like there was a $300,000 budget for this library. But if it was a county library and we had the maximum allowable millage, it would be about $3.2 million.
Would that be voting for additional millage or come out of existing?
It would be additional, yeah, and so we've been in the exploration phase process since 2019. COVID put a screeching halt to it, of course. And then, the exit of the library director, Suzette Chang, who was a large driving force for this proposed change. Her leaving the library kind of put a stop to it until Cameron could get up to speed with his job and everything else that was going on, you know, we didn't want to throw that, and, so, he's just now had the time to be able to look through the, questionnaires that were done, and we're kind of looking at where we left off and where we need to pick up again, and if the interest is still there and all of that. So that's what we're kind of going over here when he's talking about these survey results.
Okay. Yeah.
So were all this data from what the library itself did, or was it also from the girl from
This is-
OSU?
Okay, so this is where I was confused on, and I think Andy clarified this. The data that I have, because there was a grant and it came in 2 parts. I think this came from the first part of the grant. This was, yes. Suzette, after the first grant, applied for it and was approved and got funding for an additional grant. And the grant was, $3,000, $2,700 of that was to pay for a graduate student to, facilitate what looks like a series of interviews with, don't know if it was residents of Logan County or people who participated in it.
Participated in the first
Okay.
survey and indicated that they were willing to be contacted again.
Okay.
If they were willing to be contacted again, then the graduate student was supposed to develop some more in-depth questions and interview them. With those questions having a focus on the fact that it would be additional taxation on property tax, that it would be, possibly bookmobiles, possibly brick and mortar, additional brick and mortar areas, you know, things like that, more in-depth than just the generalized questions that we asked in the beginning.
Do we have a rough idea of what the tax is? Or we floated a number yet, or?
We have not voted a number yet.
In the beginning, when we were kind of looking at like the maximum millage that we can ask for, we had some numbers. We were just discussing needing to kind of get all of those documents back together. So hopefully, I'm gonna try to find all my notes on that and bring everything I can. I can scan it and email it out, you know, so that everyone can kind of see some of my notes and some of the things, the other handouts and documents that we've had throughout this process, which has been a long process, so. But yeah, we did figure an amount of how much extra it would be like per month on a $100,000 home or whatever, something like that, so I have that somewhere.
And one of the questions I wasn't able to was, how much you would be willing to pay for a life. And I understand what that question is. And I didn't understand the purpose of that question. It was to answer your question, what kind of tax would it be? What kind of limits does the general local county resident have for an increased tax? But unfortunately, the question was asked without any context, and I got some very interesting answers back. Some people answer, honestly, like, you know, $10, $15 was a pretty common answer. One person put down, I think, 50. A lot of people put down 0. A lot of people were very offended that the question was asked because libraries are free, so why are you not saying it? Hey, so at least one person wrote in that thing, it's like, you guys aren't gonna start charging me to enter the library. If you guys do, I'm not coming back. So, and that's probably one of the reasons why we're doing the second part of the grant, is because these kinds of conversations are best asked. They follow context and the correct information. Like most people on the street don't know the difference between a municipal led library like the Guthrie Library is, or a county based, or one of the other types of libraries that we have.
Where the first sentence is really great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
putting all of that together. And like I said, that was all the information that was supposed to be, sent to the graduate student for her to then, and she was supposed to, devise the questions and then get them back to us for approval. And that, for whatever reason, that never happened. I think that was,
It sounded like she had stuff because it's supposed to be working on it.
yeah,
But that's the last thing I did. We said, hey, we need to get this girl on. Do it or.
yes, we were said the same thing.
We still have communication with the student.
No, not with the graduate student. There was a history professor
Yeah,
or
there's a name in here,
that,
the public historian in the Department of History.
yeah, they had, helped find the graduate student, you know, and identify him. But then there was the sickness, the COVID, and then she wasn't sure if she was coming back for the next semester, and different things in her life made it where she could not continue. And so then everything else that kind of came around, it's just been laying there.
yeah.
Dr. Laura Oramcha.
So is that funding?
No, we still have it.
Yeah, and I did contact LA because there was a stipulation that all these funds should be spent, I believe, by 2021. And I inquired, I sent an email to ALA. They were very much under the impression that we had already spent all the money, but they did say that if we still have funds left over, that we should be spending those to finish out the grant. And I spoke to this at the French meeting on Saturday. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to be pretty positive on their part to move forward with this.
Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, as long as the funds are being used for what they intended, which is the exploration of the county library, whether it's to pay that girl to do something, or we get to pay someone else to develop those questions and do the work. shouldn't matter. I mean, those grants, just, you just have to spend the money for what you said you're gonna spend.
Right,
You know?
yeah, that was the instructions I was given.
Yeah.
And for as far as I can tell, and, I spoke to Holly, and she seems to confirm this, none of the money in the second part's been touched. We have not written a check at that second.
Yeah, 'cause she was gonna try to go through the checkbook, see if she could find anything.
Well, yeah, I gave her the name, she's like, that doesn't sound familiar, that's a name she would recognize.
Well, yeah, 'cause she didn't write that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, any more questions about this AOA grant, or do you want some of the others?
Are you gonna talk about next steps, or do we need to talk about that as a group?
So that was just asking is, do we want to contact OSU to see if we need a new grad student? How do we want to?
My personal opinion is that we should, sort of pick up where we left off. I'm obviously not the same grad student, but we need to, I think we should contact.
Do we know how, like, how much money we have left to finish this?
$3,000. It was a $3,000 grant.
And
We have
then
not,
it's actually,
none of it been touched.
So we need really good questions developed, more in-depth questions, and then a plan or strategy
Yes,
for.
I believe, because I have the original grant application here, it was to involve calling back the people who were open to contact again. And interview them for approximately 40 to 60 minutes, and then use that.
That's a long interview.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of question.
Yeah. Each person has to be.
I know, each person has to be interviewed 40 to 60 minutes.
That is.
That was an
Or is it a
estimate.
total, like,
That was an estimate.
the whole group, whoever they.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
cause I can see 5
I think just when they wrote the grant, they had to put something, and I think that's an estimate. I would imagine 20 to 30 minutes is probably gonna be pushing, you know, the envelope, for how long one of those would
We
last.
reached out to a graduate student from OSU, or just for, can you UCL, wherever.
I'm not sure that answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure mine,
Maybe,
you know.
well, because she had a contact.
Is that right?
She did submit a from OSU's history department.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so we're gonna need to, we need to use them then, if that was part of the grant.
yes.
And they have the programs that are a little more, in-depth into what would actually apply to this, I think is the way.
Except, and then again, you see this Dr. Laura Rada is still the person in charge.
No, this was not a library science person.
Right,
It's a
but,
public history.
yeah, UCO just has, for teachers, though, they don't,
Yeah.
doesn't OSU have library science?
No, oh, it does.
Oh,
Oh, it is the only.
But it was, more like a humanities subject kind of thing.
Yeah.
It made sense when Suzette explained it. Yes.
Still active in anthropology circles.
Yeah, so it was more like that, sort of, yeah.
Human nature stuff.
Yeah. So I agree, I think the first step that we need to take at this point is just to try to contact
Okay.
the same lady at OSU and see if she's still there. And, just kind of refresh her memory of.
Still open to.
Yeah, yeah.
Laura Arata, there's an email on that.
Oh, the GP.
It's on that, up at the top, I think you go to CC email.
Yes. Laura, shoot.
I guess that would be the first step, is
Okay.
seeing if, you know, we can see if she has another graduate student that would be good for this project, and if so, see if she can get with them and if they're, willing to do it. You know,
And if that doesn't come to fruition, this is have to really be.
yeah, we'll have to figure out what to go from there, yeah. Surely if she's not there, there's somebody took her spot.
Yeah.
You know, somebody in the same general college.
Yeah, and to that application, they have the name. Director of Public History, so contact them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Laura's just a public historian, so.
Would y'all want me to scan and email the various things that I find in my records regarding this project?
Yes.
I would, instead of trying to copy and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We've had lots and lots of stuff over the last 3 years or whatever. Studies and everything, so I will get as much of that together as I can and send it out. You know, we're gonna move forward with it, and we all need to be up to speed on the ins and outs of it. Yeah. So.
And some recent announcements, this month was notified that Guthrie would be receiving state aid. We are actually getting about $1,000 for the state aid this year compared to last year. Just nice. That's how we pay for most of our electronic programs, databases and stuff like that. So that has actually all been signed by City Hall, and I've submitted that back to ODL, so we should be getting that check pretty soon. Also in exciting news, all staff at the Guthrie Public Library will be attending OLA's annual conference in Tulsa. Now, one of the reasons is because 2 people on the staff are presenting at OLA. Yes, so,
Who's presenting?
I was just about to say, so everyone's favorite adult and teen library, Becca, will be presenting on how to plan your own summer reading program. So summer reading is usually done by this huge consortium, and that's why every library seems to have the same stuff going on. Last summer, we bucked that trend, and instead of doing what everyone else was doing, summer reading. So she's gonna be talking to people on, if they want to, they can follow in the footsteps and do your own summer reading program.
Really cool.
Yes, and I'm gonna be speaking on a panel with some other directors and access managers on voting access and circulation policies. Super exciting stuff, that's, yeah.
You can so much easier than doing just a presentation.
Yes, yeah, I think they know me real nice. I'll talk once or twice, make us both look smart.
What is this library?
It is March 7th and 8th.
So you're gonna close the library, or you volunteers to?
We are closing the library. I'm actually hoping that I can get someone to come in and clean the carpets and the tile, stuff like that, stuff that has been neglected for quite a while. And I'm actually really surprised that, the city manager was so open to the idea of us closing the library down for a couple of days for us to attend this conference.
That's the new city manager, right?
Right, yes. And,
I'm a big proponent of training,
yeah,
Absolutely.
applicable training.
Yes.
And who else, yeah, and who else are y'all gonna get applicable training from if you don't go to the OLA conference?
Yes.
good, because that leads me to the next thing I was gonna talk about. So the city, is able to fund 2 people a year. I always have the opportunity to ask for more. In this budget cycle, I really didn't see a reason, but that was before I knew that 2 of us were gonna go. Most of the people that are going to be attending, OLA this year are paying for that out of pocket, just to support their coworkers. And for some of them, this is gonna be the first time to actually be at a professional conference. When I wanted to notify you all that will be closed for 4 days, and that's the reason why. Also, if y'all want to attend, you don't have to be a library professional to attend. They're board members and just the general public, if you pay the money, they're not gonna turn you down. To go to the conference.
I'm sure.
I also wanted to know, how often do you think it would be a good idea for all the staff to go to a conference like this? Because I don't know if I would be able to send everyone to a conference every year. But I kind of wanted people's feedback on how beneficial this could be. What are the costs and benefits when we consider that we're gonna be closed for Thursday and Friday? Those are some of the things that, are the only days that people can come to the library. So it's not gonna be a totally painless thing for the community for us to shut
How
down.
much does it cost for someone to attend it, like?
$250.
I know when I was working, we were all limited, who could go to conferences,
Yes.
one of the things. If you went to a conference, that what you bring back and.
You gotta share.
You share, you present to your peers and share that information, because it's sometimes you can't, especially travel costs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a pulse, I guess you just go up and back the same.
I know a lot of the folks here are, stay there. I'm commuting.
Yeah.
I think it's important that you guys go every year. I don't know if you can shut down every year, but when I worked here, we did, and not just the networking that comes with it, but you learn so much from your peers, from, you know, I made friends with Tom Coulon,
Yeah.
director, you know, and so it's like,
It's also kind of like a.
working so hard. Yeah,
Being.
and it's so cool that you have two presenters, you know, I
Yes.
mean, I think it's important to go every year, but I don't know if you can. So,
Or rotate, it's happened here.
Yeah.
Next year,
yeah.
be a little bit more.
So the city will pay, the city pays for 2 people to go?
Basically, my budget would cover 2 people then. And that's been, usually we send 2 people a year. Usually we send, the people responsible for programming, because a lot of the sessions revolve around that sort of stuff. So yeah, generally every year we send our 2 programmers to the conference.
So would you have the opportunity then in your budget process next year to increase your budget?
I could always ask,
Yeah,
whether I get it.
yeah, right, yeah.
There is the opportunity, like I said, I'm kind of kicking myself because I had known.
Right.
When I had 2 presenters, I don't even think that was on the radar that
Yeah.
time. Becca went on her own, wrote up a proposal for, to do a presentation, and she was accepted.
Yeah.
And then I was, asked by the person running the panel if I would.
Well, I think the results from already going this year can be part of that answer, because
Yeah.
what we want next year.
That's what I was gonna think too, having everyone go this year, and the benefits that they receive from it will definitely go a long way for you to argue your case,
Mhm.
to add that to your budget next year.
Yeah.
And how many, I should know this answer. How many people?
7.
7.
How many
I was
person?
thinking 5,
2.
but
That's also when you do a sponsor a librarian kind of fundraiser.
yeah, that's
I
right.
would like librarian for that, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can't get an increase for everyone to go, yeah, I would
Yeah.
think that that would be something to,
Yeah,
Think about
I could probably at least increase it to 3 and then the BBC rotate.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very useful.
very cool.
Okay, in other city news, I included the slides for this, but during the state of the city, the library was very positively mentioned, by the city manager. They put together this nice infographic on all the stuff that we did. They were particularly impressed that we got so many library visits, especially in comparison to the size of our service population, which is Logan County. And yeah, I don't think that everyone realized that, I see you have over. I know stuff. Most of them are digital, but we have this available version, yeah. And I already attended one meeting of the Public Library Directors Meeting since the last time that we met. One of the big takeaways from that meeting is that ODL is working very closely with the state's broadband office to make sure that libraries are center of that conversation on expanding broadband access across Oklahoma. They are really pushing that every library in the state have, be a broadband access center for the public. I am actually really happy to report that Jeffrey already meets that standard. Yes, and One of the things I'm working on right now is the E-rate process. It's that time of year, so it's fine. This is E-rate, it is the discount for, internet. So you have to do it every year, but I had to do extra this year because our contract with OneNet, who provides the internet for public computers, is up, so I had to submit for bids. And something that I have done differently than my predecessor is that, I'm asking for the same bandwidth, that we have now, but I've opened up the bids for a higher band, so I could at least judge whether we have the funds or if it's in our interest to increase them. I have no idea how that's gonna turn out. We've already received 3 bids.
When's the
so
bid
far.
opening?
Huh?
When's the bid opening?
When has it opened?
Yeah, when is it closing?
Oh, yeah,
In a month? Okay.
yeah. I applied Wednesday to 29, I have to wait at least 29 days.
Okay,
So,
so you applied yesterday,
Wednesday, like not yesterday.
the week
The
before?
week.
Okay.
I also talked to a lot of the other directors, a lot of them in towns comparable size to the Guthrie Public Library. And one of the common things that they talked about, one was that they're all having issues with their building collapsing and all sorts of terrible things happening, at least that's not happening for our building. They also talked about how they are refocusing their programming efforts. A lot of them have been relying on the steady, reliable programs that you see at every library, your story times and book clubs, and things like that. And there's a lot of them have gotten staff and new blood, and they're starting to focus on like unique programming, which is something I think is a big strength of our library right now. So we're already doing these kinds of things. Right, and I also wrote in a plug for the Great Guthrie. You have a card right here, I didn't know how far away. You can see it.
We have to say the word Tonga as library director. probably.
Yes, oh, well, that's two, yeah. Oh, yeah, because they are donating.
Well, yeah, she told me she has a room full, box of the books she can't see over the top of them, and I said, I can't do that. It's sale, I said, I just can't, I said, we don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
We come to Honda, and couldn't get them all in our truck, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I said, how about I contact you after the sale and see if we can restock some of our supply. She said, we don't just get like 50, and I go, well, it's gonna sell for. He said, probably really wouldn't be worth driving with Tonga. Appreciate it, but.
Speaking of the book sale, everyone listening at home, the book sale is February 2nd, if you're cool enough to be a Friends of the Library member.
Yeah.
And it's open to the public on the 3rd. The Friends are actively seeking volunteers to help with the book sale. Also, if you are interested in things like this, it's a great organization, and they're also seeking members. So if you know anybody who doesn't want to be a part of the board, but still wants to support the library, Friends of the Public Library is an excellent organization.
Yeah, and on Friday the 2nd, we will be setting up between about 10 and noon. So, we already have dropped 4 kids lined up to, move the books from our storage facility to the Presbyterian Fellowship Hall over here. So, but then we have to unbox them instead of putting them out on the table. So, you know, we can use all the help we can get, you know, we can make life work. And then that evening, we'll probably have enough of our friends that evening for the private member sale, but you know, everyone's welcome to come in. You can join, if you like. It's $5 individual and family, for by business. And then you get early access to the books. We get a lot of the people that have booths at antique stores and stuff that come in on that night, and, you know, they have their little computer things that they look at all these books and everything. But Saturday, we're 8 to 5, and we can use help because we changed the way we did checkout last year, and it worked much better. We actually got some money stolen out of our box 2 years ago. They had a whole bunch of people came up with once, with a whole bunch of books. The cash box was closed, and somebody distracted, reached in and grabbed it. I think they only got a bunch of ones, so they were on the top, but So after that, we decided we needed to do something, different, so we actually have one table where people add up and just give them a piece of paper what they owe, and then they go to take, so.
Yeah.
We look at cash, we also can do, credit card or debit cards, if we do $10 minimum, have to be square, but. So we can use help, doing that, counting books, adding them up, and putting on the paper scores, and then also restocking the tables throughout the day.
So Friday night, what time is it?
7 to 9 is and the annual meeting's at 7, and then the private sale opens right after the annual meeting. And then Saturday is 8 to 5, yes. And then we tear down, usually it depends on what traffic there's still in, we'll probably start reboxing between 4 and 5. And I invited teachers, they have to come in after 4, or the librarians and get some free books.
So what happens with anything left over? Does it just go back to your store?
No, we have a guy in the city that has come, this will be the 3rd year, and every year we hold our breath, we go, yes. Cause that's the biggest
Cause you
thing.
wanna get rid of it.
Right, and he, for every, they will sell, he's gonna do like online stuff, he plants trees, so we decided, hey, that is it, yeah, win-win, so. He's a real nice young man that comes and gets those, so he's doing that, 'cause we don't wanna box them all back up and move them back out to the bookhouse again.
Yeah.
But we can avoid it, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Boy Scouts are coming, Saturday afternoon to help us tear down too, but we don't see stuff to rebox, and we just, at that point, we just kind of throw running the boxes off the tables and help them load them out in the truck.
All right, so I'm gonna run through the rest of these points, pretty swiftly. So our seasonal programs are always a big hit this time of year. A trunk or treat was by far our most highly attended program. If you look at the programming stats and you see the attendance, that big 1,300 number for October, that was almost all trunk or treat.
I helped last year, I know they didn't ask volunteers this year, so I forgot about it.
But no, it was really popular, everyone had fun dressing up, handing out candy, Dino Denver was great with all of our themed programming, and Chris really throws herself into the all the dinosaurs.
You see them all over Facebook. Did y'all see the dinosaur dance?
What is that? Kids punch your life.
Oh my God.
But we all volunteer around.
Yeah.
So, you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. And we also have a lot of good Christmas programs, especially our story time during Christmas. We had Mrs. Paul show up, a lot of toy and book donations were given out. We had the teens did a gingerbread house contest, and we had a couple of people from City Hall come in to help judge. Eddie, our city manager, and Liz, who oversees HR, and actually is the person that helped fix the roof here. She came down and helped with that too. We have some new dogs for our sit-stay and read program, including Percy Meg, who is the dog for the victim advocate of the Guthrie Police Department. She has shown up a couple times.
Or somewhere.
She's also been showing up right now. There was a really cool handout for the teens where they stayed at the library after hours with the parents. Here in this room and tell spooky stories and stuff like that. And the movie programs and Dungeons and Dragons are still drawing the teens in. It's been really great. We've actually had to expand the area that the Dungeons and Dragons take. So we actually have several games going on at a time. And yeah, and our team volunteers help with that. And the big draw this quarter or this time of year in the adult programs has been the food contest. We had a sugar cookie contest. Our chief of police will go out of his way to ask me when's the cookie contest, so he can show up for that. It wasn't wrong, but one of the judges did relay to me that they think they have to. With that.
Will we make a crown ski this year?
There will, I know that is working.
Yeah, she asked me to get some of our tables for it, so.
And it was also the chili contest, which I got the judge. I went. Really, really good.
They recently had a, like a cookie contest and stuff that was, all the stuff that was left over, they donated to their local fire department.
Yeah, we invited the fire chief to come to our meeting, but no, I mean, they must be busy doing fires.
Fireman thing.
All right, as far as the collections go, we've done a lot of work. I mentioned at the last meeting that instead of waiting for the shelf to get stuffed with books and decide we need to go through the books to see what we need to get rid of, we're actually taking a chunk of that collection every month and evaluating it and doing that. And I'm actually really surprised how well the staff have adapted to that. This season is generally some of our slowest time of the year as far as people coming in through the door. Usually we have a lot of time on our hands to do projects like this. So I made sure that I did assign people who don't have a lot of experience with this type of stuff, so I could watch them, kind of walk them through this, because this is actually one of my favorite parts of being a librarian. I don't know, maybe it's the evil, like, Roman emperor being that wants to like give a thumbs up or stay. Please, off to the book sale. But even though I had staff members that this is the first time they've done it, they really taken the job seriously and they've done a fantastic job. The big areas we hit, been the adult collection that we've had stuff that had been sitting on the shelf for but we were able to remove, like I mentioned in my last update, a huger chunk than I'm usually comfortable with. But going forward, since we've got rid of all the stuff that obviously needs to go, we can be a lot more ridiculous going forward. And it has freed up a lot of shelf space. I actually adjusted one of the shelves over there to remove a shelf to see if anybody had noticed. And then when people complained, almost said straight, no one said anything. I even pointed out to people, it's like, hey, have you noticed anything different about this set of shelves? It's like, yeah, I like those books over there. My favorite author's right now. But it's resulted in a collection that is much easier to maintain. It is easier for people to find stuff and to browse their favorite author because you're not looking through last year's or last decade's fads. The paradigm.
So where do the books go when you remove them from the collection?
To us.
They go to
Yeah.
friends and
They
then those go sale. Okay.
There's
Circle.
you can see some of the carnage that I did in my office. Behind that chair, there's a lot of books that I have yet to box up.
Okay.
I have a cute picture because my daughter, she had to go to school, was helping me. And she made a new friend, her name is Dolly the Dolly.
Dolly.
Dolly the Dolly, and yeah, that's how some of the books got back here.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yes,
So I
yes,
just a general
Yes.
comment about the library staff having collection duties. So they've not had that in the past.
that's correct.
I would think that would, I would think that would give them a sense of ownership of the library.
It does.
And help them to feel like they are a larger part of what's going on. So I hope that they are enjoying that and
I hope so too,
getting benefits
and
from it.
one of the lessons I've learned at being a manager at other locations is that I switch these every couple of years, that way you get exposure to different kinds, but it's a lot different going through children's nonfiction books than it is going through fiction books. One of the reasons I agreed to go fiction is because it's not an area I usually do. She has all the degrees and stuff, they usually stick me in nonfiction and where I can like judge and comment on content of the stuff. But actually going through and looking at the stats and seeing what kind of books are removing and what kind of stuff still have checkouts, despite the fact that they have been here for a long while, it's been really eye-opening. And I really think it's gonna better inform our acquisition process moving forward, because we know what checks out.
Cool.
We have had a pretty steady, increase in the number of library card holders over this year. I have been warned that the numbers are probably not going to look that great next month because we are going to go through and this is something we do every year. If the account hasn't been used in several years, we'll delete them. That deletion has not come yet, so we'll probably see that. If you look over the stats over time, this is what I did the last time, this meeting, it goes through a predictable pattern, little loops and loops. So we're right at the high point now, we'll probably see a little drop now that the year has ended. But something I wanted to bring up with you, and just something for the public in general, it was our, library card review process. So when you get the library card, it's good for a year. And people get messages on their phone that their card is about to expire. Whenever usually it's handled by one of the other staff, or Shirley at the front desk, I do take those calls in my office. When I can, and I always try to explain that the wording on that text message makes it sound a lot more serious than it is. There's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with your library card. We are really just double checking to make sure we have information for everyone. And this is something that is required both by Delphone and apartment libraries, just so that they have, good stats on library usage. Also, it's a big part of what Overdrive is paying vendor for ebooks. Yeah, they want to make sure that they're, yeah.
So library cards expire when they're not used, or?
So you will get a message every year saying your library card's about to expire.
Yeah, obviously, it's up to
Don't.
renew, it's due to renew.
I don't want to
Yes.
send them, I can download anything.
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of times we get calls or I can't log into Libby. Say, that's long, no, have you tried your last name, all lowercase? Yes. If they do that, and it's like, I think I know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Once you look up the account, you see the big red box,
Mhm.
like, can you confirm some contact information? Because otherwise, a lot of people wouldn't go through the process, and I don't blame them, I don't know.
So I got the text the other day,
Yes.
I deleted it.
Check
Get an email. I knew it wasn't gonna go away,
Yes.
but I need to call and just say all my information is correct. Well, yeah.
Well, I can make a note.
Oh, I know Katie always sends me, just online, she'll say, and you'll meet at reading your husband's too. Yes.
I was gonna say, I will always
I get
as well when it
Yeah, I
gets
get
closer,
it.
so, and I think, I just replied, don't cancel me.
Yeah.
Please.
My Libby account is well used.
Okay, oh, speaking of,
And, yes,
I've been asking,
yes.
when you're looking at your stats and everything, have you gained the ability to look at the Libby
Oh,
usage,
the,
the audiobook checkout usage and stuff like that?
so are you talking about the Overdrive Advantage where it's the ones that is not through the consortium or just?
Anything, cause.
Yes, I do have that, that's that new chart, I said, I forgot to put a chart in your thing and I sent you another one, that's what that has. The dotted line
This
is,
one?
yes, so the dotted lines at the bottom, those are the electronic checkouts.
Oh, okay,
And they're color coded, so every color is a different year. The solid line is physical checkouts and the dotted line is electronics. So now you have proof to your inkling that in the winter, people stay at home and start checking books out online instead of coming to see us.
And so I know Jamie says Libby, I have never used Libby, I checked, but I use it's okay virtual, I
Same thing.
say it's the same thing,
Yeah.
but I know I was in a thing going, hey, why don't you use Libby or whatever on my thing, and I'm like, well, this is working just fine.
well, when I used Overdrive, it said, Overdrive is going away, we're switching to Libby.
So Overdrive is the company. And they had an app that they named after themselves because they didn't have any creative talent on staff at the time, I assume, called the Overdrive app. And that's what I started using when I first started checking out ebooks. A lot of people really love that app. They stopped developing it and they made a new app called Libby. So really Libby is just Overdrive 2.0. It really is more user friendly, especially if you didn't. The people who like Overdrive better are the people who remember all the shortcuts that you had to learn the first time.
So you say it's like another 2.0. Cause I was looking up some books the other day that I could not believe I could not find on Overdrive. Now, will Libby have newer,
It is.
or is it kind of the
It
same?
is the exact
How are you
same, so
using Overdrive?
Huh?
How are you able to use Overdrive?
I've used it since Metropolitan, I just always use it.
They kicked me out.
Oh, I used it last night.
You had to use it.
I use it every
Crazy.
day.
are you using an Amazon device by chance?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. Amazon is weird.
Okay, yeah, I use my Kindle on Amazon, so yeah, I'm
I'm not saying you're gonna get kicked off soon, but
prepared.
But you
said.
it has. Yeah, Libby is just their new app, it's a new name, but it's the same people. I guess in terms, it would be the difference between Internet Explorer and Edge, it's the same thing, it's just it's different.
I literally use Libby.
Yes.
I listen while they're,
Mhm.
and I think I had 76 books last year. Listened to, whatever you call it.
Especially when I had to mute, that's the only thing they would finish was Libby Audience.
Yeah, I've discovered a lot of book series that I'm really enjoying, so.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, we belong to the Oklahoma Virtual Library. Basically, how that works is most libraries in Oklahoma, with the exception of some of the big ones like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, the Pioneer Library System. We all have come to an agreement that basically we will give a portion of our funds to this consortium, and right now the consortium is being run by the Stillwater Public Library. There's nothing that says that has to be the Stillwater. I think the librarian here just really likes to do it, and she's done a really good job with it. But she takes a little bit of money from all these other libraries, bundles it all together, and buys the books, and we all share it. So if you go on Libby and it says, you can't check out a book because someone already has it, you cannot knock on everyone's door in Guthrie and find out who has that book and they can turn it in, because it could be somebody from Ponca City. So you have to go all the way home. You just have to think,
How many locations do we share?
I'm trying to make that nice.
Yeah,
It's pretty
you
much.
personally, there's a clip drop like your county or library system, you know, and yeah, it's most, it's a lot.
It's pretty much every library except for the top.
To get access to a lot more books.
It's a lot of ways, it's Stillwater, that's sort of.
I've spoken to her, I think, on the Stillwater to attend the meeting where we discussed this, and yeah, this is almost her dream job. She just, she sits in her office, she gets to be a librarian, and she just deals with it. So we have that. In addition to that, we have something called Overdrive Advantage, and that is, because we don't give them all of our electronic. Because I get a budget just for electronic materials, a big chunk of that goes to the virtual library. The rest of it, we get to spend on whatever books we want. So we know that there's a particular author that's a Guthrie favorite, we can order extra copies, and that's just for Guthrie.
And so when we're looking for a book,
Mm-hmm.
it looks in
It looks at both.
both
Yes.
areas. So,
And we could even buy a book that the virtual library already has, but what that would do is that would show up in the wait time.
great, thank you for that. In depth with that. I think the last thing on your list was social media.
Yes, social media, I got the report back from Becca, earlier this week. It's been surprisingly, positive. We are seeing either slight to heavy increase in all of our social media output. The lowest one was on X, which we technically did have an increase, but it was a very negligible one. And the big surprise was, last time we talked about that we were gonna at least cut back on the amount of material we post on Pinterest because it is just.
We were on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Well, we're probably doing better.
So,
Just so I can see what it.
despite us cutting back on that, that is the one that showed the most engagement, it went up like 50%.
So we're on Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok.
TikTok, there's Pinterest.
Yes.
I thought we remembered
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Pinterest is a huge.
But you know,
library.
Last night, showing that, cause like last night, I was looking for books, like ideas. I was on Pinterest, like
Yeah.
typing in, adult fiction instead of it used to be, I don't know, this, and so I was doing that last night, like just trying to find, and then like I knew an author that I'd read, but I knew it had been a long time, so I typed her in to see what else, yeah.
You don't see me actually.
I just didn't.
Am I the person that made it?
About the library.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can put crafts and, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
so
but
much.
I just think of individuals having pages or posting whatever, cause I do, but I didn't think of a library actually.
Yeah, me
That's
neither.
interesting.
Yeah, we see skill
Decoration.
Well, last time we spoke, it was almost zero.
Oh.
So we basically made the decision, I thought that,
That's interesting.
right, like, it was like, you know what, we'll just cut back on our posting on there.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe we just pick that sweet spot, maybe less is more with Pinterest. And what little we do put out
Oh, that's
gives a
right.
lot of engagement.
Is that like algorithm that you think, like they're occasionally?
Very possible, yeah. Yeah, we could have been earlier just flooding everything on Pinterest and it just sucked that algorithm.
Okay,
Yeah.
probably smart.
Yeah.
Great question. Okay, then that wraps up the director's report.
Thank you.
Cameron, as always, thank you so much. You give us such great information about the library that it helps us to understand what goes on here and how you guys run it day to day, and which then in turn helps us to give advisory type comments as we are,
And y'all
as we are tasked to do.
It's great. I'm not, a little nervous, first time I was meeting the library board. I had experienced library boards in the past. They were also good library board people on the internet. But no, this has been a fantastic library board.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, well then, our next item is old business, and it was exploring the library as a system, which of course we've already discussed. As part of your report and all the information that you found and everything, so we can, skip right over that because we didn't have anything else under old business. So then that leads us to new business. Does anyone have any new business that we need to discuss tonight?
Well, I got this giant book right here, and this is something I would like to use the data that we've been collecting through the ALA grant too. I've mentioned this before,
Yes,
the strategic plan.
yes.
I did contact ODL because the most current strategic plan I could find for this library expired in 2021. According to ODL, we do have a strategic plan that runs to 2025. But that still actually does not leave us a whole lot of time to craft a new strategic plan because it is, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, we're running without a strategic plan. I'll work on it this weekend, I'll have a good draft come Monday. Yeah. Turns out that's not how that works at all. So I would like to get some more buy-in on going forward with the strategic planning process. I don't think that I will need a whole lot of input for you until the next meeting, but at the next meeting, I may come with some things that we need to do to get that community input to make sure that we have a really solid strategic plan going forward.
Is that something that we may want to have, additional meetings for, like, special meetings planned for just the strategic planning discussions? Will it be that involved?
I hope not, because I don't want to make a lot of extra work for these kind of people here that decided to spend an hour with me every couple of months. I'm hoping that is something that we can take care of during regular board meetings. And at the very least, since it's usually about a year-long process to come up with the strategic. I think that I can divide the labor on that, but I also thought I could come up with a draft in a weekend, so I don't wanna make any promises.
Okay, well, just keep in mind that,
Yeah, I'll have more information for you
Yeah.
next time.
I personally wouldn't mind that extra meeting, but
Fantastic.
I just need like a bit of a notice.
Oh, absolutely.
we would,
Yeah.
we would definitely
Okay,
give some far out notice, but.
Oh, yeah.
So if you get to a point where you really, need some help, need some input from us or whatever, and it feels like it might be longer than what we can do on a Thursday evening, then just let us know and we'll converse about when we might be able to meet and help you with it. Fantastic. All right. We have a public here. Do we have any public comments?
I think I've made all mine already.
And you talked about the sale coming up, so yeah, all right. All right, so having no public comments and conducting all of the business on our agenda, I believe that will conclude our meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
I'll second this motion.
All right. And everyone in favor of, right?